Support the game, the owners, and anyone who's involved in it. Connections. Battletech Fiction by Lucien Dacier. Chapter 6. Zenith Jump Point. Thorin. Word of Blake Protectorate. 6 April 3075. Eden's head was spinning as her molecules tried to move back into their proper places. The Shadow Division had made 2 jumps in just under an hour as they expended both their jump ship's stored charge and its lithium fusion battery. She felt like she'd been turned inside out, but it had been necessary. With a potential security breach, they had needed to get to friendly territory as quickly as possible. It had only been a few days since she'd reported Raven, but it had felt like years. Seemingly every officer in the Shadow Division had come to question her, using every method they could think of to make sure she was telling them everything. Her body was covered in bruises and electrical burns, and her back was bent from hours of forced prayer. Soldiers had searched through the ships, most of all through anything Eden had touched. They had scanned through her implants, sending lightning through her nervous system and leaving her twitching and unable to breathe. The jumps had given her some momentary relief as her whole reality was ripped apart, but that was passing all too quickly. Her head was already pounding, and before long every movement would hurt. Her bunk had been cleared out, so for the jump she had strapped herself to a crash harness in the dropship's mech bay with the rest of the Doberman group. Unfortunately, she was still left alone. The other protomech pilots were sedated for interstellar transit. They didn't need to worry about their focus or what the future held. Her gaze fell on the Ivlease, which had not been spared the division's search. The protomech had been torn down and the tech staff had gone through every centimeter, looking for traps or sabotage. Even now it was only half rebuilt, as Eden waited for word of whether she'd even be cleared to return to duty. "Rejoice, for Blake has a place for all of you," Janos was saying to the mercenaries on their knees in front of him. "Those who accept his grace will be welcomed with love. As for the rest," he added, his expression darkening. She blinked as she heard a clatter of metal. She looked up to see one of the equipment lockers had swung open in the 0G, apparently not having been locked down securely. She tiredly floated over and began pushing the mech tech tools back into place. Her eyes fell on a hull cutter, a diamond-edged saw that could slice through damaged battle mech armor. Unbidden, an idea floated into her head. She lifted the hull cutter out and pushed herself over to the half-assembled Ivlease, bracing herself on its strong leg. She stared at the hull cutter's blade. She knew how it felt to be connected to the protomech. All her bodily concerns melted away, replaced with power and purpose. To feel like that all the time. To not have to hurt anymore. To not have to spend so much time alone with her thoughts. She awkwardly turned the hull cutter around. Even in 0G it was almost too big for her small arms to carry. She still managed to push its blade against her stomach. It felt cold through the fabric of her uniform. She reached with a trembling hand for the activation trigger. Just one touch was all it would take. "Eden!" She jumped at the voice and quickly turned to look. Raven was standing at the foot of Ash's rock. Eden quickly flipped the hull cutter back around, holding it in front of her defensively while keeping her eyes on him. Relief mixed with electric stress was banishing the last of the fog from her mind. She had assumed Raven had snuck onto the captured mercenary jump ship, which was following along behind them after being left behind at the last jump point. But here he was, apparently immune to the division's searches. Raven showed no sign of fear, only glancing at the hull cutter's blade. "Please tell me you weren't going to use that on yourself," he said quietly.
"Stay where you are! Security is already coming,"
she breathlessly ordered. "No, they're not. Everyone's still puking after that second jump, so we got a few minutes." He smoothly drew a pistol that he leveled at her. "So put it down and tell me what you were doing with that." She ran through her options, coming up with nothing. Raven was armed, and no one was coming. And he was giving her that disarming look again, patient and without fear. She let go of the hull cutter and let it float away.
If I'm injured enough, they may still find a use for me.
She bit out.
I am left with no choice because of you.
Because of me? Be honest.
I am being honest,
she hissed.
How did you delete yourself from our systems? Did you hack my access code?
I've got a few tricks, he answered vaguely. But me hijacking your duty roster doesn't explain why you're here, holding a big saw to yourself. She narrowed her eyes at him.
I am split in half, Raven. My body aches and my mind... I barely know where I am anymore. A frail like you wouldn't understand what it's like.
I understand that cutting yourself up isn't going to fix anything. He waved at the hull cutter and the protomechs. Is this what you were dreaming about doing as a girl? Or did you dream about being free to live the life you want?
That girl sought freedom, but all she found was failure and isolation. An endless string of identities and friendships that ended in abandonment. Freedom is an illusion, Raven. Our only choice is to select our masters,
she answered. That's a delightfully canned answer. Did they copy-paste that into you, or what? He commented wryly.
The Order gives me purpose. I have a team that needs me.
Or is the other way around, he quipped. Are you guarding the monsters so you don't have to be alone? Or remember that you didn't help your friend when she needed it? Eden's eyes widened.
How do you know about that?
I told you, I've got a few tricks, he answered. He took a slip of paper out from his shirt and unfolded it. It was a simple printout from a Canopus reporter, showing a statuesque woman in a sleek dress. The headline over the image read, Star singer Natalia Sidorov found dead. Overdose suspected. Eden stopped breathing. She had hidden that article in her pillowcase, but she was sure the division would have found it when they went through her bunk. What happened? He asked softly. Did she say she had it under control? Did you believe her? Eden shamefully lowered her eyes. This article came out just before he got to Orr. It's why he tried to get clean, isn't it?
I tried,
Eden admitted.
But I wasn't strong enough.
And this is how you get strong enough? He asked with a gesture at the hull cutter.
I have no choice,
she repeated. Because you either serve them or they pop your head, he asked. Yeah, I know about that too. The second any adept figures he's better off without you, boom, he said, snapping his fingers for emphasis. Eden was shaking with embarrassment and anger.
The Order ensures release if I fall in battle, or if my faith begins to slip.
She fought to force herself calm.
What is your plan? Do you think you will be able to evade our searches?
I've been doing pretty well so far, and I only have to hide out a little longer. That was a good move, double jumping to try and get away from any trouble coming up behind you. But you guys didn't bother to look in front. Her eyes widened.
You mean at New Home?
A whole Lyran strike team's waiting for you. Probably landed by now. I'd give even odds on whether you manage to get anyone on the ground or if you all just get shot down on your approach. He smiled at her, as though he could see the chill that ran through Eden's body at his words. Well, let's hear it. You know what you want to ask.
I just have to keep him talking long enough for security to get here,
she thought, though part of her was panicking at the thought of talking to him anymore, and how she might let her own doubts and fears slip out.
Why are you telling me this?
She finally asked. Because I want to help you get away, he smoothly answered. Raven turned the news article over to show a long string of alphanumerics written on the back. Your implants have an override code. Enter this and no one can touch you anymore. No head bomb, no drugs, nothing. Soon as you're on planet, you can walk away. Eden stared openly at the code, unable to process what he was saying. I actually am a pretty good tech, and you are equipment in need of an overhaul, he continued with a smirk before his expression softened. Sorry for what they put you through. It took time to get this code out of your mainframe. I'd have come sooner if I could.
Why are you coming to me at all?
She asked incredulously.
I am a Canis Domini. By rights, I should kill you where you stand.
But you're not, he said flatly. And it ain't just because I got a gun, or you're hoping someone gets here. You haven't completely bought the whole Blakist line. You're seeing the cracks, and you're wondering if this is really where you belong. So I'm offering you a chance to slip your leash. She did not react beyond blinking numbly, so he went on. I've got an escape pod prepped. There's room in there for you, me, and a few others who don't deserve what you're flying into. Just before this ship breaks atmosphere, we can punch out and watch the fireworks. She stared quietly at him, processing what he was saying. For a moment, she dared to hope. Then she shook her head. I cannot. What, that's it? He asked. After everything they've done to you, everything they've made you do, you still want to stay with them? She shook her head again. Before coming here, I was nobody. Nothing. Here I have a family and a mission. You wouldn't understand what it's like to give all of that up and go back to being nothing. Like you're floating in the dark. You're cold and alone, and you can't breathe, he calmly replied. I understand more than you give me credit for, Eden. Do you really think your only choices are being nothing or becoming a monster? You're wrong. You can still find your freedom. You just have to be willing to try to set your own course in life, instead of just doing what you're told. He extended a hand towards her. Let me help you. Eden drew back from him. For some reason she could not place, she had an overwhelming feeling of trepidation at the sight of his hand, like her world would implode if she took it. I cannot do what you suggest. I am sorry, she replied, and knew that she meant it. The lights of the mech bay began to click back on as personnel finally recovered from the jumps. Raven shook his head at her. This isn't what you want, he said. She took a breath to protest. The heretics who refuse Blake's word cannot be suffered, Janos was saying. When an element threatens the whole, it must be culled for the good of all. She returned to reality with a start. Raven had disappeared. As the icy feeling of loneliness touched her heart, Eden covered her face and began to cry. End Chapter 6. Thanks for listening. This story was originally published in Magistracy Monthly. It's a battletech fanzine organized by the very talented Riley Centrella. I'm going to leave a link in the description, and I encourage you to check it out. Links to all the art used is in the description. Special thanks to Real Mech Is Love and Oswald for their contributions, and also to Oswald for making 3D printable models of both the Ivleys and Eden available on his Cults page. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you think I earned it. Thanks again.